Good morning. It is day number 5 of this PlayStation build, and today I am working on stenciling. So my last project, which was the It was the Joker Harlequin controller build. On the right hand side of that controller, I completely masked it off. Did a very quick black pass, so black gloss paint, really cheap pound shop black car paint. Did one pass completely black, and then after that I got some packing tape, parcel tape, and basically covered it in that, and then cut tessellated diamonds in it. Then did a white pass, then did a red pass. The idea being that when you peeled it off, you would have really sharp black and red tessellated diamonds, like Harley Quinn's, classic outfit. What I'm doing today is essentially the same thing, but way more elaborate. Purely to see if I can, because you never know till you give it a go. And if it doesn't work, I sand it down and spray it completely white. No problem. But let's give it a shot. Let's just see. I have, time. Again, I'm doing this in my lunch break, so a little bit here, a little bit there, maybe like 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there, if I'm waiting for a phone call, or like I am right now, I'm on a coffee break. So, you know what I mean, I'll just do a little bit now and a little bit whenever. There's no rush. I've collected all the parts for this build, and I started building it, and it was around about the time I started soldering in the HDMI port, which I think was like day number 2 or 3. So about the time I was soldering in the HDMI port, I thought what I'm going to need is a quick sketch, like something quick, something I could knock up in Paint.net. Again, I do this as cheap as possible. Paint.net is my go-to, design program, because it's so quick, it's so easy. It's not the best thing in the world, but it's free, and it runs on practically everything. So I booted up Paint.net, and I was like, I need a stencil, I'm going to quickly design one, I've got 10 minutes. And if you've been watching these videos, you know the stencil I've come up with, because I've been using it for the thumbnail. So what I wanted was, I knew it was going to be red with white highlights, because I really like red with white highlights. Like, I mean, it's a tool of marketing that's old as time. I mean, think about it as like Coca-Cola. So Coca-Cola has used the red background with the white, highlights. The newest version of Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4, like that suit with the red, with the, the white highlights. Who else? Denmark. Anyway, so red with white highlights. And I quickly designed something. I wanted silhouettes. So I just got some PlayStation, not mascots, but like, and it wasn't a case of, oh, here are the most identifiable or the biggest or the most well-known PlayStation 2 games. Because again, I would have done that if it was a piece for someone else, like one of my mates. But it's for me, like I'm the person that's going to use this PlayStation. So what I did was I put on the silhouettes of the games that I played on it, and not just on PlayStation, but on that PlayStation. So I wanted to have the stencil represent what I was doing on it. So I quickly downloaded, it wasn't like the box art, it was just something from that game which would look good in a negative space. And what I came up with was this. So this is the negative version of it, but essentially the white part here is red, and the black part here is white. And I don't know if you can see, so at the top we have obviously Tony Hawk, and then let's see if I can focus up on that. Hang on. You gonna focus up? There you go. So at the top you have your man Tony Hawk there, because obviously I played a lot of Tony Hawks. Then underneath that you got Lara Croft, then Spider-Man, then Dastan from Prince of Persia. Underneath that you've got Slash, because obviously Guitar Hero, massively important to me. Hang on, what's that? To Slash's Right hand side, you've got who's that? That's Ratchet and Clank on the right hand side there, and then just tucked in the corner over here, you've got Kratos, which I always liked. I like the fact that Ratchet is really big, and then Kratos is tiny, little, and small because he's like obviously a god and he should be big. I just liked that. That sort of made me laugh. And then over here you've got Raz from Psychonauts. Then you've got Sly Cooper, Parappa the Rapper, and down here is actually one of the characters from Time Splitters, which I really liked, that sort of image there. You've got Crash up here, and then up the top here, you've got the bikini girl from the box cover of Vice City, which I wanted a Grand Theft Auto on there somewhere, I wasn't sure what, and that image just always stuck out to me. So, I designed this on the quick. The reason it looks like this, as in the negative version of it, is because this is going to be the stencil. So the way this sort of stencil is going to work isn't... There we go. So the way this stenciling is going to work is not the way I normally do stencils. Now the way I would normally do it is make a stencil and then... or the way most people do it is make a stencil, hold that stencil over what you want to do, either spray it or paint it, peel off, and then there you go. That the image would be on whatever you wanted. This stencil is kind of different. To get the kind of detail that you're going to need for something that's that small and that intricate is going to need... It's going to need an adhesive layer, which I then cut. So essentially parcel tape. I can't use anything else, can't use masking tape, can't really use frog tape because it won't have that fidelity. So yeah, I need something that can be stretched really thin, that I can get all the air bubbles out of, so parcel tape, absolutely ideal. But how do I transfer that image onto parcel tape? Well, I had to think about this for a while, and I thought, what if I make a stencil to make a stencil? So the problem I had was, how do I get an image that you can print out of any printer, and how do I transfer that with enough fidelity onto parcel tape that's stuck to a PlayStation 2? There's not really a lot you can do. And the solution that I came up with was, I went on eBay and I ordered a pack of 10 acetate LaserJet compatible printer sheets. So essentially a very thin sheet of acetate that you can put into any LaserJet printer and print for like overhead projectors. So it's OHP based, right? I found out, the hard way, that you shouldn't just put any paper into a LaserJet printer. I may or may not have found that out while I was trying to create a t-shirt transfer. So like get the paper that you can print your own t-shirt logos and stuff like that on. They're for inkjet printers. You don't want to put them in a LaserJet printer. Yeah, that bad things happen. You have to send emails to IT departments for that. Mostly because whereas inkjet squirts out ink, obviously, in a jet, LaserJet is really weird. So the way a LaserJet works is LaserJet uses a combination of static electricity and heat to heat powder, like toner powder. And the way it works is it heats up either the roller or the paper on the roller in a certain way, and then it rolls this powder, toner, onto it. And that's quite important for what I've done here. So this image here is the right way around. What I did was I took this image, put it into paint.net and reversed it, so the mirror image of it. And the reason I did that is so I could print it on clear acetate. Now, the reason I reversed it is because toner tends to flake off if you manipulate it or scratch it or do whatever. So as I'm cutting with scalpel, if my hand, because I'm right-handed, is rubbing over it, it's just going to come off. So what I did was I actually reversed the image, printed it that way, so I could cut it out. And then I would have, once it's done, I don't know why I'm holding it up. Maybe I should put something behind it. But I don't know if you can see a nice... It's going to focus on my face, isn't it? Maybe you can see it on my jumper. There you go. There you go. So what I have is a stencil. A really, really, really intricately cut stencil. And this is essentially not the finished stencil. So what you would do normally is lay that on top of what you wanted painted and then spray over it. But the problem I've got is that toner is all flaked off. So it's got like bits of black toner stuck to it, which isn't going to look good pressed against white gloss paint. So what I'm going to do is put strips of packaging tape against the PlayStation 2. Clean this, maybe like put it into a shallow bath, because it is just plastic. Get off all of the toner so it's properly clear, like really, really, really clear. Lay that on top of the packaging tape and then like draw out this. So what I should end up with is essentially that, just in super high detail coming from that onto the packaging tape. And again, all of this was done with just a blade, which has been really hard to find in lockdown. Like, who of you is buying all of the craft knives? Who of you is buying all of the car paint? Like, what are you doing with them? Because I can't find them anywhere. Anyway, the next job is, like I say, to take this stencil and then use that to make another stencil. Once the packaging tape has got this high fidelity image drawn on it, then I have to take the same blades and then carefully cut out the packaging tape, peel off the packaging tape, and then spray paint it. It sounds like a long-winded way of doing it, but trust me, if I laid that over the PlayStation and then just sprayed it, it wouldn't look good. It wouldn't look good. The kind of detail I'm going for, I really, really need that parcel tape to put on there. And seeing as I can't print on parcel tape, like there's no way to print it on the parcel tape. Maybe if I've got like transfer sheets or something, but even then it will look scrappy and it won't be in, high fidelity. I need to do it this way. So it sounds like it's a long way around, but it is the easiest way of doing it. Okay, what I'm going to do is give the finished stencil a bit of a bath, just to get all this little black flecks of toner off. What I'm going to do is put it in this. This is a very shallow tray. This is actually my daughter's paint palette. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour in some room temperature water. Obviously the water can't be too warm, because if this heats, the tiny little detail bit like Ratchet's gun here will start to fold up. So what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of standard dish soap. This is the same stuff I cleaned the PlayStation chassis with, and yeah, just pour in some water and start cleaning it. Okay, it's now out of the soapy water. A lot of the toner did come off, but it was the small bits that were going to flake off anyway. These big bits that are still on there, they are not going anywhere. They are really are stuck to that acetate sheet. So I'm not too worried about that coming off onto the console. What I had to do was, when I submerged it in the soapy water, I just rubbed the back of my fingernail just very, very gently across it, and tiny little bits of toner were coming off, and those were the bits that I was trying to get off. So I've emptied all the water out of the tray, and as you can see, there's loads of little bits of toner floating around in there. It's really disgusting, and those are the bits that I was trying to get off, because I didn't want that sticking to the white paint. But yeah, that's ready. Okay, so next step, making the actual finalized stencil. Okay, so the parcel tape's attached, and I'm ready to start making the second stencil, if you want to call it that. Traditionally, what you would do is paint the entire thing that you want, that base colour, so that would all be red, and then you would attach this stencil to it and then spray white over the top. But because I want nice, highly defined shapes, what I've done is I've made the base coat white, then I'm going to I've attached this parcel tape underneath this clear sheet of acetate. So this parcel tape is nice and tight, there are no bubbles in there at all. I've laid the acetate on top, and what I'm going to do is literally mark out a guide and then clean it up after I pull the acetate off, and then cut the parcel tape with the Stanley blade, or with the scalpel, sorry. Then remove all of the outer tape and all of the bits that I want red. Then that will be covered, so then I spray it red. I'm doing a really bad job of explaining what I'm doing, but hopefully it will become clear. Okay, well, the stencil's on, and then what I'm doing now is just free-handing in the slight details and adjusting some of the things. So even though the stencil is still attached at the top and I can use that as a reference, it was more like a rough guide. So now I'm going in and just free-handing in the small details, using my original printouts as obviously as a guide. So I'm sort of eyeballing it and trying to get it as close as possible. It's going to take a while, but you know, I've got time. Okay, so I've pretty much finished adding all the details by hand. Again, just referencing the printouts that I did, and then freehanding it basically on here just to get the extra definition of all like the little lumps and bumps and curves and whatnot. It's not 100% accurate, and it was never meant to be 100% accurate. What it was supposed to be is sort of more impressionistic. Like, you can clearly see that slash, you can clearly see that's Ratchet and Kratos. Like, it's supposed to be, again, sort of more impressionistic than and deadly accurate. The stencil's pretty much done, it just needs to be cut. Oh, I need to sort out Raz's arm over here and his hand over here, but for some reason the pen will not adhere to the plastic. But yeah, pretty much done. Okie doke, quick progress report. Most of the stencil is done, or at least 3/4 of it. I'm just cleaning up with these cotton swabs and a little bit of alcohol, just the white bits to get them extra shiny and white. Even though we're going over with red, it'd be nice that if it was, you know, at least a nice, as maximum as white as possible base coat. The bit down here I'm going to have to do again, because like an idiot I went up into the wards, and every time you go on the ward or off the ward you have to dispose of the gloves. I disposed of the gloves, forgot to put another one on, and all of the stencil here ended up on the base of my hand, because I'm right-handed and I'm an idiot, so I started left to right. So I'm just going to redraw that, quickly cut it out, and then I have to do little things like the lips for the girl up here, tuning pegs here, and some other little bits and pieces. But overly, it's kind of done and ready to go. So yeah, let's get on with it. Okay, that's it, we're all done. The stencil is done, it's all cut, it's about as clean as it's ever going to get. Got through a lot of those. But yeah, we're ready to go. So now the only thing left to do, give it a blast with the crimson red. Let's get it done. Okay, and now I'm just waiting for it to dry. So the coat itself has actually come out pretty good. I'm actually really happy with that. The back, not so good. I don't know if you can see it. The back's not so good, but it's going to be covered by the network card anyway. The front's come out all right as well. So looking pretty sweet there. And the top, yeah, really, really nice. Really pleased with that. So what I'm going to do now is let it dry properly, like really, really, really dry. And then very carefully, probably with a needle, lift up the masking tape that's on top. Okay, and that is the end of day 5. The stenciling is complete. And you can probably hear I'm really, really happy with the way that's turned out. I don't want to get too close, I don't want to cause a shadow, but it's not perfect. There are a few little mistakes. There's a lot of glue left on the white over there. What I'm going to have to do is let this properly dry, and I mean really, really dry. It's not even been 24 hours since I painted this thing. So yeah, I'm going to let it dry properly, and then just take a little cotton wool bud with a little dab of alcohol on it, just clean off that glue. Also, I'm going to have to take some of this red, spray it in a cup, and then using probably that really cheap paintbrush, just make correct a few little mistakes. So the eye on the girl, I've just got to dab a little dot on there, and Sly Cooper's staff doesn't quite go all the way across, so I'm just going to dab a little dot there. But then other than that, it's kind of done. I'm really, really happy with the way that's come out. And just to sort of like, I don't want to bang on about it, but just to sort of reiterate, there was no computer-aided design in this. This was paint.net, a free paint program. There was no 3D printing in this. There was no, computer design stenciling. This was a sheet of acetate that I bought for a couple of quid for 10 sheets on eBay. This is scalpels that I bought, you know, for next to nothing. I think this was like 2 or 3 quid for 3, and 2 cans of spray paint. Like, this is not an expensive endeavor. You can totally do this. And again, not to bang on about it, but I failed art, and I've managed to do this with parcel tape, 2 cans of spray paint, some scalpels, a pair of eyebrow tweezers. You know what I mean? You can definitely do this. So yeah, it's been a long day, but that's the end of day 5. I'm very tired. I'm going to drink my sleepy tea. Night-night. Okay, the very final step. What I've done is I've taken some more cotton wool buds, some WD-40, you can see I've used quite a lot, and I've cleaned all the residue of the packaging tape off of the white and some of the red that didn't fully come off. Then I've done my technique of spraying the red and the white spray paints into some cups, and then got some really cheap, I think these are from Wilko's, paintbrushes, and just, you know, tidy up some of the edges. Reason being is that now we're ready to do the acrylic finishing spray. So even though this is not being touched, it's not being manipulated, it's not being held, I am going to do the acrylic finisher on it because I just want a nice complete gloss sheen on it. So the acrylic finish is going on there. We also have the acrylic finisher going on the buttons because they're going to be touched, the memory card slots, the joysticks because obviously they're going to be held, the base because I just want a nice sheen, the front bezel, this cute little memory card that I have painted to match the controller. So the acrylic finish is going on there, obviously the back of the memory card, and then the network card and everything else. So the very final stage. Again, cheap lacquer spray from Wilko's. Gonna put this on everything, do 2 very fine coats, and then maybe 1 more slightly thicker coat, and it should be done, ready to be screwed back together.